Welcome everybody back to another day in the 31 days of Popcornween. Today I am your host Dr. Till, and it is day 10, which means allegedly, supposedly, Simper made yesterday's video, which he covered Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. Now if a video didn't come out, well then let's just all make fun of him next time he's on the live stream. But for now, I'm going to talk about today's movie, which was written by the same guy who wrote Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3, Frank Darabont. No, we're not talking about the Shawshank Redemption. We're talking about 2007's The Mist. 2007's The Mist was written and directed by Frank Darabont, who got the rights directly from Stephen King. He had previously worked on The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile. Both were critically and, I think, very well received by audiences. But Frank Darabont started off, as mentioned before, writing horror with Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3. So he always wanted to get back to his horror roots. And The Mist was a project that he had kept on the back burner for a very long time.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3 was my very first credit as a writer. And there was the Blob remake, and there was The Fly 2. I remember sitting on the set of Nightmare on Elm Street 3 one night and thinking, I'd love to have something in my pocket that I could nurse along and try to get made as a director.
When it came to directing, Frank Darabont had two choices. He either wanted to make Shawshank Redemption, something that would break him out of the box of horror, really show Hollywood what he had to offer outside of the horror genre, or he could do The Mist. Now, obviously, he chose to do The Shawshank Redemption and I believe even The Green Mile before he got to The Mist. But it stayed in the back burner for a very long time, and it gave him a lot of time to really think about the story. Maybe even longer than Stephen King did writing it.
It certainly hasn't been a disappointing category to be in, but I've always wanted to reach back and pluck something from my first love, which was horror movies.
Now, if you're sitting there thinking to yourself, why does Frank Darabont sound familiar? Well, that's because Frank Darabont is also responsible for something else that, ironically, has become a bit of a zombie franchise. That's right, Frank Darabont created The Walking Dead. Yeah, that zombie movie from AMC that hasn't fucking gone away in like 15 years. He created that. Now, he only stayed with it for about a season and a half until he got into some arguments with the studios that led to him leaving, leading to his second in command kind of taking over for a while. It was a whole thing. That's a video for another time. For Simper and Ken even, I don't even care about The Walking Dead. I gave up on that show when Frank Darabont left. That was middle of season 2. So let's just get back to this movie, okay? Let's talk about The Mist.
Something in the mist! Shut the doors! Shut the door!
Now, this movie is about 20 years old, almost. And while it is old, it's not as near as weird as The Void. I felt like I needed to do a full breakdown on The Void because trying to explain that movie in just very vague and isolated terms, I just don't think that would have given it justice. So if you haven't seen the Void review I did last week, I did a full breakdown of that movie. It's almost 40 minutes, and it's weird. And hopefully, like it did for me, learning the actual story is going to make you just want to watch it more. This movie, though, The Mist, well, both do need to be experienced in their own right. The Mist does not go as weird as The Void, and it's pretty straightforward. It's a very simple survival story. You have a father who, with his neighbor and his son, get trapped in a grocery store when a mysterious fog rolls into town, covering the entire place in blinding curtains of mist. Feels redundant just to say the title of the name again, but yeah, that's what they do to you when they name these movies like this. Soon after, a earthquake shakes the grocery store. Our main character, played by Thomas Jane, goes and tries to figure out a way to get power restored. Generators are all guffed up. Something's stuffing the exhaust. And while kicking around in the dark in one of the most realistic and funny scenes I've seen in a long time, Thomas Jane hears a mysterious sound against the cargo bay door, a pushing. And of course, nobody believes him, especially the two mechanics. One played by Frank Darabont favorite William Sadler. You definitely recognize him if you've seen Shawshank or The Green Mile. But they all go to get the generator started again, and a very mouthy bag boy played by Christopher Owen. Yes, the Shermanator is in this movie, right? I forgot that guy existed. They try to get the exhaust unstuck, and when Norm opens the door, tentacles grab him and rip him to pieces and drag him out screaming, to everyone's horror. Now, this is why I think this movie should be in black and white. Like, when you watch it in color, it's still really good and it's very effective. But when it's black and white, it just feels like a 50s era monster movie. And I fucking love it. I think it's the far superior way to watch this movie. So, all the clips that you're going to see in this little breakdown, you're probably wondering, why are they in black and white? That's why. Once Norm has been killed, and the mechanics now believe Thomas Jane that, well, something's fucking going on outside. Everyone starts panicking. Everybody starts screaming and hollering. Marisha Gay Harden, who plays Mrs. Carmody, is a very religious woman, and she takes this as a sign of the apocalypse and starts babbling a bunch of useless, unhelpful things that are in the form of scriptures. And she ends up in the bathroom praying later, saying, like, hey, don't kill the good ones. Like, Thomas Jane, David, who is a poster artist, like a movie poster artist, which, if you look in the very beginning of the movie, the poster he's working on is a Dark Tower poster. Ooh, Stephen King got us with another Easter egg. So David and a couple of other people, one being a teacher. There's a lot of familiar faces you're gonna see in this. Okay, you got I think that's Andrea from The Walking Dead. And earlier in the movie, when the fog first rolls in and the big earthquake hits, you actually have this woman who really wants people to help her go get her kids, because she just left her 8-year-old watching her 5-year-old at home. Yeah, well, that lady who left her kids, that was Carol from The Walking Dead. So, see, she really gets cast for a type. No one will help her, so she just walks off in the mist, which, good news for her. At the end of the movie, you actually see that she got rescued by the military with her kids. She's the only one that has a kind of a happy ending in this movie. And if they ever did a sequel, that should have been the sequel they should have done, was her going to save her kids and ending up with the military. But Frank Darabont's not really the sequel type, and I'm all for it. Fuck sequels. For now. So, David and the new school teacher from Chick Plate from Walking Dead, are starting to try to maintain order as everybody's breaking out into massive chaos. Mrs. Carmody's already starting to preach to people and get them really in on this apocalypse, Armageddon thing where this is God's punishment on the earth, which it very well could be. There's some theories out there that she's actually right the whole time. Now, a good portion of this movie is mainly focused on the people. You got all these people crowd into one little area. Resources are limited. Luckily, they're at a grocery store. You have various different types of personalities. You have Mrs. Carmody, who is a zealot, and you have David, who's a bit of a pragmatist, and you have his neighbor, played by the chief from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. The gay chief from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. There's a bit hard-nosed, and then you have the mechanics who are forceful but fearful, and you have the school teacher who is just trying to keep everybody's heads level, and old lady. You have all these different personality types. They're mixing, and a lot of the movie is them butting heads and them trying to figure out this situation. And about midway through the movie, they figure out that they should, about midway through the movie, after a biker decides, hey, put a string around my waist and I'm gonna walk out into the mist and we'll just see what happens. Yeah, he gets chopped in half. Or bitten in half. One of the two. So they start barricading up all the windows with all the food, fertilizer, whatever they have handy in bags up against the window. And it's getting dark, and they're getting the lanterns out. They start seeing these big fireflies come up to the window. Unfortunately, though, the fireflies also attract giant pterodactyl-like monsters. And for some reason, William Sadler, the mechanic guy, thinks, oh, these bugs are coming to the window and they're attracting pterodactyls. So let's turn on some floodlights so that we really light up this place and attract even more of those bugs. So they attract the like I said, these guys are fearful and impulsive. So as stupid of a thing that is to do, I see that guy and I go, yeah, that's something stupid that guy would do. Stupid mechanic. Charging me too much for oil changes. Now, of course, because William Sadler and his mechanic buddy decided to turn on all these floodlights and all the bugs got attracted more, the pterodactyls break through the window, releasing all these bugs into the grocery store and just causing complete and utter chaos yet again. And in the chaos, Thomas Jane, David, tries to grab a mop and light it on fire as a means of fighting these things. But in the ensuing attack, the cashier girl gets stung on the neck and doesn't end up great for her. Her face blows up like the fat kid from Willy Wonka, you know. She looks like she got one of them blueberry everlasting gumdrops. Her face is like an inflatable balloon. And unfortunately, she dies. And several other people dies. And this only stokes more tensions and gives Mrs. Carmby? God, why can't I not remember this lady's name? Okay, I'm looking up your name again, lady. What is your name? Mrs. Carmody. Who do I blame? Frank, am I blaming you or Steven? Because one of y'all is responsible for me not getting this stupid name right. And it's not me. Okay, maybe it's a little me. Okay, maybe it's mostly me, but still I'm gonna blame you. Now, after the attack, people are injured. People are scared. So it's left up to David to figure out a solution. So a group of the survivors, led by David, Thomas Jane, the Punisher, they should have just given him the Punisher vest for this movie. Like, just, I don't even care, Frank Darabont. I know you think you'd be ruining your movie, but it would only make it better for me. Now, other people, that's not really my problem. So the Punisher and a small group of guys, William Sadler being among them, him and his mechanic buddies, venture next door to the pharmacy, only to find that the inside of the pharmacy has been covered in spider webs, and the military police guy that was in the grocery store earlier, rounding up his, I don't know, what do you call them, enlistees? The people that worked at the military base. The guy with the really over-manicured eyebrows that does Darth Maul's voice now. Now, clearly, they gotta fight some spider creatures in this pharmacy, and for as little of a set that actually was, if you watch the behind-the-scenes documentary that I will also create a link for down in the description, I believe it's called When Darkness Comes, The Making of the Mist. You watch it, that set was nothing. They literally put up 3 walls and a facade out in a parking lot and dressed it, and it looks amazing. And the spider creatures, for being 2007, the CGI in this movie isn't too bad. And when you put it in black and white, they actually look much better. Like, I think the CGI blends so much better when it goes to the black and white. And that's just because it's 2007. So when they return from the pharmacy, having killed the spiders, they learn that Mrs. Carmody has begun preaching about a human sacrifice needing to take place in order to send the mist back to wherever it came from. Some stuff comes out from Mr. Eyebrows, the army guy, Darth Maul, we'll call him. They find out that the military has been messing with some stuff and may have ripped a tiny, eensy-beensy hole in reality. So everybody turns on him and sacrifices his ass to the mist. And he just basically gets yanked out into the fog and never seen again. Bye-bye, Darth Maul. See you in Clone Wars. So wouldn't you know it, the next morning, Mrs. Carmby decides to, demand Thomas Jane's son as the next sacrifice to end the mist once and for all. Thomas Jane does not like that. Now, I know Marissa Gay Harden wasn't in The Punisher, but if she had been, she would know you don't threaten Thomas Jane's family, because he will come to your little stupid casino in Tampa Bay, Florida, and burn your entire world to the ground. If she had known that, she clearly would never have suggested to kill Thomas Jane's son. But she hadn't, so she did. And, well, her followers, obviously, back her, one of which is William Sadler, the mechanic. He's just all like, yes, let's do it. Kill the child.
From them, the blood of expiation.
Come try it. Fucking try it! Come on!
So the assistant manager, Ollie, being the only one proficient with a gun, decides to solve the problem. And Thomas Jane and his son, the school teacher, and the old dude and the old lady that have been hanging out with him, and Ollie all escape the grocery store and get to Thomas Jane's Jeep. They drive off into the mist. Now, the ending of this movie will either make or break the movie for you. So, buckle up, it's about to get rough. But this is why this movie is so great and important. It takes a group of complete strangers and puts them into a pressure cooker of a situation. And we really get to explore what each of these people are capable of under such horrible circumstances. At the end of the movie, that goes double. Because Thomas Jane has to make a very terrible, terrible choice that when I first saw this ending, the only reaction I could possibly have, and did have, was just to burst out laughing. It was so absurd. This ending is... I don't want to say it comes out of nowhere, because it's very well set up. You go back and watch the movie, you can see all these steps starting to tick off. But Thomas Jane and the people he's with, they drive until they run out of gas. A forest road, and, well... they're stuck in their car. They have to make a decision. They can either risk running out up on foot, or they have just enough bullets to kill everybody but one person. To put everybody out of their misery so no one has to suffer. It can just be over like that. So Thomas Jane makes the unthinkable decision of being the odd man out and kills everyone in the car. A haunting and horrible decision that no man should ever have to live with. So he gets out of the car, ready to let the monsters take him. And just at that moment, wouldn't you know that the military comes barreling through with flamethrowers and all the mist starts clearing away? I'm not trying to laugh at a man killing a bunch of people, including a child. It's just such an absurd but perfect ending to this movie. And it really makes it something that's very impactful, and it like stays with you afterwards. And you just keep thinking to yourself, man, glad I ain't those motherfuckers. It's oh my god. He just murders everyone, and then it's just fine afterwards. Did the military come along and go, what the fuck? Just riding on top of one of the trucks. He's a car of dead bodies, and Thomas Jane stood next to him going, ah! Not one military guy was like, just drive past him. Just drive past him. Don't look at him. Don't make eye contact. Don't even look. Just keep going. Just go past him. We won't even see him. And it's an ending that really shows that this movie had balls. Like, this movie was made for a shoestring budget. Harvey Weinstein decided to make it for Frank Darabont because Frank had done 2 killer movies for him before. And Stephen King even told Frank afterwards, well, this is not how the short story ends. He told Frank, I wish I'd come up with that ending. That's a really big compliment. I know it's Stephen King. Like, I'll keep my opinions about Stephen King to myself. But even coming from Stephen King, that's a pretty high compliment. As utterly fucked up this movie is, I think it might very well be my very favorite Frank Darabont movie. Above the Shawshank Redemption, above the Green Mile, Walking Dead, can go eat a sack of rotted flesh. I don't give a crap. The Mist is his best work, by far. And it might even be Thomas Jane's best work. A lot of these actors went on to do some really great things. A lot of them came from very great things. But they all came together to do a movie that was shot super fast for no money. And it was literally a work of passion. Frank Darabont put so much blood, sweat, and tears in this movie. And at the end of it, we have, I think, one of the best horror stories ever committed to film. Like, I would put this movie up there with the other Stephen King standard for horror cinema, which is The Shining. It's not near as heady as Kubrick's movie, but I think it's just as thrilling and scary, and the atmosphere is perfect. There's so many things about this movie that just make it absolutely perfect. And I think that's what makes it another great addition to our 31 Days of Popcornween. If you haven't seen this movie yet, well, shit, it's been 16, 17 years. You should get on that. Thanks for sitting here and let me ramble at you about this movie. Come and join us tomorrow for another movie. And don't forget to hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. We got a live stream Sundays. You should definitely come to those. And, enjoy your Halloween season. We'll see you tomorrow when Ken does one, presumably. Roughly about 5 minutes long. I did say 15. Come on. I said 15. I know mine are like 40 at this point, but I said, you know what, just start crossfading me out of this. They don't need to hear this. Nobody needs to hear this. Just hit that like button, subscribe, share it with all your friends, but mainly, editor, just fade me down, bring the music up, me down, in the video. Just end it here. Stop staring at me and end the damn video. End it. End it!